Aaron.
Can I give me a copy of that? Except the gift shop on the way out.
Continue like.
Right down my accept.
Do you want to come look at it or don't want?
Okay.
No, favorite.
So good.
I just was like, was it just like one second?
So I just think from difference. Turning in my
Okay, everybody ready?
Yes.
Since we have already determined that buzzers work, let's see if you can make them work. Point South Kortri. Nothing but toss-ups in the first round. Here we go. An extremely biodiverse country with habitats ranging from arid Pacific plains to the Andes to the Amazon basin, it was the first Spanish conquest in South America. Named this one-time home of the Inca Empire.
Chile?
Finish it for
Peru.
Peru is correct, yes. Emissions from the radio variety of these are due to synchrotron emission from their cores, which may be the result of their active nuclei. The Hubble tuning fork classifies them as lenticular, elliptical, or spiral. Bobby?
Waves?
No, I'll finish it. Name these systems of astronomical objects, one of which is the Milky Way. Julia?
Galaxy?
Galaxies is correct. So both teams on the board early, and both having been the victims of getting too early. Here we go. The subject of all of her novels is the American family and its interactions. Born in Minnesota, she moved to Baltimore, Maryland at the age of 24, where she sets her best-known works. Who is this Pulitzer? David.
Laura Ingalls Wilder.
I'll finish it. Who is this Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Dinner at the Homesick Restaurant, The Accidental Tourist, and Breathing Lessons? We'll call time. The answer is Ann Tyler. This is a math toss-up. Listen carefully. If you invest $1,000 at 10% annual simple interest for 3 years, how much money will you have at the end of the 3 years? You have
$1,300.
That is correct, because simple interest will take it right to $1,300. Okay. When he was first approached by Democrats wanting him to run for president, he reportedly said he had no ambition for any political office, from dog catcher to grand high supreme king of the universe. In 1952, what former military commander nicknamed Ike became the Republican?
Dwight Eisenhower.
Dwight Eisenhower is correct. David? Unipolar kinesis, bipolar kinesis, and dianins push microtubules apart during this phase, which occurs after the creation of the spindle. During this shortest stage of mitosis, sister chromatids disjoin and migrate to opposite ends of the cell. What is this mitotic stage that follows metaphase? Bobby?
Chromatophase?
I'm sorry, no. Can you take it? South Kortri.
Anaphase?
It is anaphase, yes. Or in this case, calophase. No. In Italian, it's spelled C-H-E, but pronounced the same as the...
Gay? Okay.
That's what we're looking for. And please, speak up, because I have old ears.
Me too.
Not as old as you. In early January, 47 men convicted of terrorism were executed in this country, sparking mass protests in the Middle East, including attacks on the country's embassies.
Syria?
I'm sorry, no. Including attacks on the country's embassies in Tehran and Mashhad, which led to what sometime U.S. ally breaking ties with Iran. Not Iraq, but Saudi Arabia. That brings us to the end of the first round. I have Whitney point 5, South Kortri 25. Okay. That means Whitney Point, you have first bid in the answer auction. Here's the answer auction question. Oh, I might add, this was not a popular question the last round at all. Here's the answer auction question. Of the 16 cabinet-level departments of the U.S. government, 7 have been created since 1950. How many of those 7 can you name? 7 out of the 16 cabinet-level departments of the U.S. government. Whitney Point, you have first bid. Use your pencils and paper, write them down. Unless you have no clue.
There you go.
Obviously, you have
I
no,
like it.
you have no clue. Whitney Point, opening bid, please.
1.
They bid 1, will you go 2?
Sure.
They'll go 2, we go 3.
3.
They'll go 3, will you go 4?
Nope.
You
No.
might have suckered them in. Let's see what happens here, Whitney Point. Give me 3 cabinet-level departments in the U.S. government that have been created since 1950.
Transportation.
Transportation is 1. It was created in 1966.
Education.
Education was 1. It was created in 1979. Captain?
Homeland Security.
Yes.
Yes!
2001. So that was the easy one, guys. Health and Human Services was created as Health, Education, and Welfare in 53. Housing and Urban Development in 65. Energy in 77. Education in 79. Veterans Affairs in 89. And, of course, Homeland Security most recently in 2001. Okay, so that means they bid 3, they made 3, they got 40, so it's 45-25 after 2 rounds. We're now going to move to toss-ups and bonuses. Any substitutions or problems, coaches? Okay. First bonus in this round is nonfiction. Here's the toss-up to get us there. The only known radioactive element in this family is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Elements of this family typically have low reactivity due to a complete outer shell of valence electrons.
Noble gases.
Noble gases is right, Bobby, for 10. And here's your bonus in nonfiction. What bestseller of the 1960s and 70s by Dr. Lawrence Peter postulated that in any hierarchy, employees tend to rise until they reach a position in which they are incompetent? Captain?
The Jungle.
The answer is the Peter Principle. What lawyer and talk show host published Ameritopia in 2012?
Can you repeat the name of it? Somebody would have.
Ameritopia. Captain?
Donald Trump.
No, it was Mark Levin, who 3 years after she left office in 1990 came out with a memoir entitled The Downing Street Years.
Sarah Palin.
Margaret Thatcher.
That makes sense.
What member of Monty Python's Flying Circus became a travel writer in the late 1980s, penning his own version of Around the World in 80 Days? The answer is Michael Palin. So you had the right. Sarah Palin. They're not related, of course. And the score is 55-25 after the first question of the toss-up bonus round. Next bonus is in the category Brazil. Here's the toss-up. It is the most commonly studied and diagnosed psychiatric disorder in children and adolescents. What is this disease which makes it difficult to focus on school?
ADHD.
ADHD, it's correct. You were having trouble focusing on it, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's your Brazil bonus. I want you to name either of the two South American countries that do not share a border with Brazil. Either one. Captain, your answer.
Chile.
Chile is all we needed. One.
Okay, good.
Ecuador is the other. Name either. I said. Okay. The equator and what other named line of latitude at 23.4372 degrees south pass through Brazil?
Tropic Capricorn.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Brazil ranks 5th in the world in population. Where does it rank in size worldwide?
Maybe 5th or 6th.
Captain?
5.
It ranks 5th. Well done.
Pretty good.
And what city, Brazil's largest and the 10th largest in the world, is also known as Terra da Garoa, which means land of drizzle? Captain, your answer.
Brazil City.
Sao Paulo. All right, biology, the category of the next bonus, and here's the toss-up. One was a doctor, another a tax collector, and two were called evangelists. Evangelists, coming from the Greek word, which translates into English as the blanket term for the 4 books of the Bible reportedly written by these 4 men. Bobby.
Apostles.
Sorry, no. Looking for, is it South Court, right? No? 4 books of the Bible written by the 4 men who were a doctor, a tax collector, and 2 evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Oh, you're
That's what we were looking for, yeah. Okay, next bonus.
That was a weird question.
Bonus is still biology. Here's the toss-up. It's a mountainous state with an area greater than all of New England. It has the shortest international land border of any U.S. state. The port of Lewiston in what state is reached by seagoing vessels through a series of locks and dams on the Columbia and Snake rivers? Holden.
Colorado.
Not Colorado. Can you take it, South Court?
Alaska?
No, it is Idaho, actually. Remember, the shortest, it says the shortest land border. It's a little tiny land border up at the top of Canada. Still playing for that bonus. This toss-up.
The buzzers.
Yes, thank you. These organisms produce a structure that contains endosperm and is surrounded by a pericarp, divided into monocots and dicots based on the number of seed leaves they possess. What are these plants whose seeds are contained in a fruit and whose most notable feature contains stamens and pistils? Aaron,
Flowers?
more specific.
What?
I'm going to prompt on that. I'm looking for something more specific than flowers. More scientific than flowers. How about that? All right, Whitney Point, can you take it? We're going to call time. Angiosperms is what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, still playing for that biology bonus. This toss-up. One of the main characters was named for an Apollo 11 astronaut. Among the original titles proposed for the film were Did Not, Did To, and The Cowboy and the Spaceman. What was this 1995 Pixar movie featuring the voices of Tom Hanks and Tim Allen?
Toy Story.
Toy Story is correct.
And you have to make your
Okay, here's your biology bonus, South Kortri. It comes in brown and white forms, and the trans forms have negative health consequences. What is this insulating, energy-storing material found in adipose tissue?
Fats.
That's correct. Okay, fats are made up of molecules in which 3 fatty acids are esterified to what compound?
Omega. 3.
Sorry, no, we're looking for glycerol. If the fatty acids in a triglyceride contain no double bonds, the fat is said to be what?
Healthy.
Saturated.
Okay. All right.
Finally, most of this class of molecules relies on a glycerol backbone. My cells bear a striking resemblance to biological cell membranes, which are composed of a bilayer of what class of amphipathic molecules?
Lipids.
Prompt.
I don't know how to prompt that. I don't feel like they just go together.
I'm going to call time. I'm sorry. Phospholipids is what we're looking for.
Yeah, we can about that.
All right. Next bonus is in the category, the last bonus, as a matter of fact, is in the category U.S. Civil War.
There you go.
This is a math toss-up, but it probably won't need pencil and paper. If this factor is equal to 1 for any 2 numbers, those numbers are said to be relatively prime. Given the prime factorization of 2 numbers, this value can be found by multiplying together the set of their common prime factors. What is this number called that is the largest that divides 2 numbers without remainder?
Greatest common factor.
Greatest common factor or greatest common divisor? The divisor is that the either. Dale, that's correct. Question 15. Okay. U.S. Civil War. The first major battle of the Civil War, called First Manassas by the Confederates, was fought along the banks of what stream, giving it the name the Union Army called it?
Stream. What? You can say it. All right. I don't.
The answer is Bull Run.
Oh. No.
Major Robert Anderson commanded Union troops on what island fortification outside Charleston, South Carolina, the site of the first shots fired? Fort Sumter is correct, yes. The first commanding officer of the Army of Northern Virginia was what Louisiana-born flamboyant Creole, the first brigadier general of the Confederate forces?
Robert E. Lee.
Pierre Gustave Toutant Beauregard.
Oh, right.
And finally, General Grant was accused of being drunk and unprepared before what 1862 battle called Pittsburgh Landing by the Confederates, but better known by the name of a local church on what Tennessee battlefield?
No.
Call time. The answer is Shiloh Church in Shiloh, the Battle of Shiloh. So, we have come to the end of round 3, and South Kortright's making a minor comeback. And the score I have is 80 to 55.
I have 80 to 50, but I realize they get 5
Okay, 80 to 55. Only 25 points separating these 2 teams. As we move into the category round, if you're going to make substitutions, let's make them now. If you're not, then I will tell you that the categories are these. A in geography, with the A in quotation marks, which means all the answers will begin with A. B in history, which means all the answers will begin with B. C in literature, which means all the answers will begin with C. And F in music, which surprisingly enough means all the answers will begin with F. But not, of course, the grade that any of you would get in any of these things today.
Can we still substitute? Can we still substitute?
No.
Okay.
That's why I said substitute before I tell you what the categories are, because that. South Kortri, you have first choice.
We're gonna do the first one, the A.
A in geography?
Yep.
You like geography, huh? Okay.
Apparently.
Whitney Point, you have the choice of the remaining ones, B in history, C in literature, or F.
Figure out.
We'll do B.
You're gonna do B in history?
B in history.
Okay. All right, South Kortri, you go first with A in geography. Remember, you have 5 seconds after, and I'll count them here. 5 seconds after I finish reading the question to give me an answer. What European country's capital city is Tirana? Call time. What U.S. state is called the Yellowhammer State?
Arkansas?
Sorry, no. In
Yes.
1997, what city replaced Alma-Ata as the capital of Kazakhstan?
Almaty.
I'm sorry, no. What principality is an autonomous community in northwestern Spain governed from Oviedo?
Andalusia.
I'm sorry, good guess, but wrong. General Tire, B.F. Goodrich, Firestone, and Goodyear were all once headquartered in what Ohio city, appropriately nicknamed the Rubber City?
What? Say it.
Ashtabula.
Sorry, no. What's the longest mountain range on Earth? Andes is correct. What's the capital city of Paraguay? All time. What country shares borders with Azerbaijan, Turkey, Iran, and Georgia?
Armenia.
Armenia is correct. The islands of Crete and Rhodes lie on the border between the Mediterranean and what other sea?
What? What did you say? Say Ella. Adriatic.
I'm sorry, no. What country, nicknamed the land of 365 beaches, is primarily composed of 2 of the Lesser Antilles Islands? They will call time, and that's 20 points. Chance to steal 80 Whitney Point if you can answer these questions within 3 seconds after the time I finish reading them. What European country's capital city is Tirana? Call time. The answer is Albania. What U.S. state is called the Yellowhammer State?
Alabama.
Alabama is correct. In 1997, what city replaced Alma-Ata as the capital of Kazakhstan?
Arabia.
The answer is Astana. What principality is an autonomous community in northwestern Spain governed from Oviedo? The answer is Asturias. General Tire, B.F. Goodrich, Firestone, and Goodyear were all once headquartered in what Ohio city, appropriately nicknamed the Rubber City?
I don't. Is this one?
The answer is Akron. What is the capital city of Paraguay? The answer is Asuncion. The islands of Crete and Rhodes lie on the border between the Mediterranean and what other sea?
Adriatic Sea.
Albanian.
No, the Aegean, but they said Adriatic and it was wrong then, it's still, yeah, Aegean. What country, nicknamed the land of 365 beaches, is primarily composed of 2 of the Lesser Antilles Islands? The answer is Antigua and Barbuda. So you picked up 1 for 10 points. You've chosen your own category, B in history. Don't forget South Kortri, you get a shot at everything that they can't come up with. And are you ready, Whitney Point? Here we go. What Russian word for majority was applied to the Marxist revolutionaries led by Lenin?
Bolshevik?
Yes. Known as the father of the nation, who became Israel's first prime minister in 1948? Call time. What political party brought Saddam Hussein to power in Iraq? Call time. Who became the first woman prime minister of Pakistan in 1988?
Beatrice.
Oh, sorry. No. What Libyan city saw a terrorist attack kill the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans in 2012? Call time. What 19th century German statesman was nicknamed the Iron Chancellor?
Bismarck.
Bismarck?
We're checking your short-term memory there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pedro Alvarez Cabral claimed what for Portugal in 1500?
Bosnia.
No. Known as the People's Lawyer, who was the first Jewish Supreme Court justice?
Bernie Sanders?
Sorry, no. What Chinese revolt in 1900 was aimed at expelling all foreigners?
Boxer?
Yes. And finally, who was the first European to see the Pacific Ocean in 1513? And we'll call time. You picked up 3 for 30 points. Chance to steal 70 South Court right if you can come up with these. Known as the father of the nation, who became Israel's first prime minister in 1948? It was Ben Gurion. What political party brought Saddam Hussein to power in Iraq? It was the Ba'ath Party. Who became the first woman prime minister of Pakistan in 1988? Benazir Bhutto. What Libyan city saw a terrorist attack kill the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans in 2012?
Baghdad?
Ooh, Benghazi. Baghdad's in Iraq. Pedro Alvarez Cabral claimed what for Portugal in 1500?
Belgium?
Brazil.
Brazil.
Known as the People's Lawyer, who was the first Jewish Supreme Court justice? Louis Brandeis. And finally, who was the first European to see the Pacific Ocean in 1513? It was Vasco Nunez de Balboa.
Oh, like rock.
So, we got 80, 55 at the 10. And we got 40, so we're at 120, 120, 75. Okay. All right. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. 3 bags full.
Oh, yeah, the same, this category was used last year. They recognized the question.
Well,
Is that right?
I have no idea. I don't think so. They recognize the questions or they recognize the title?
They recognized the questions as we're going through.
There was at least, if it's me in history, there was one last year. One question from last year.
Why?
At least from what I could tell. We
Okay.
did be in history last year.
So you think that whole thing was used last year?
Yeah, so we gotta just throw it out then.
Oh.
For them, if they,
For them, yeah, I'm glad they were being that honest.
Yes,
But, so we just go with, they, the choice then of the other,
yes, of the others.
of the others. Mm-hmm.
That's mean, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, right.
Okay, it's a very close match. Let us see what we can do with all 15-point toss-ups to the end. Here we go. The Home of Sir Thomas and Lady Bertram is the title setting of this 1814 novel, and their niece Fanny Price is the protagonist. Name this the 3rd novel by Jane Austen. Julia.
Sense and Sensibility?
No, I'm sorry. Can you take it, Whitney?
Pride and Prejudice? No, I was.
The home, it's very rare that a home would be named Pride and Prejudice or Sense and Sensibility. The home is Mansfield Park. Here we go. The speckle technique can be used to improve their efficiency. Very long baseline interferometry is one strategy for using them. The optical variants of what devices come in reflecting and refracting types, named for Newton and Galileo, respectively.
Telescope.
Telescopes is correct. Settled by Portuguese traders in the 1550s, it was the last European colony in Asia until it was turned over to the Chinese in 1999. What is this special administrative region of China that packs over 600,000 people into an area of only 11.6 square miles, the highest population?
Macau.
Macau is correct. Well done, Julie. There have been people who have been tricked into thinking it was Hong Kong because
Well, that's England.
that's England, yes. The Portuguese settled Macau. In America, it's something a short man might put into his shoes to make him appear taller. In England, it's what people call elevators. What's the word we're looking for?
A lift.
Lift, yes. It lasted 2.5 years, during which time major battles were fought at sea, including some off European ports. Land battles of significance took place in the southern United States and along the Gulf Coast, and the land and water borders between the U.S. and Canada also saw fighting. What was this war during which Washington?
Civil War.
I'll finish it. During which Washington, D.C.
Oh,
Can't
sorry.
have two people on the same team. During which Washington, D.C. was attacked and burned. David?
War of 1812.
War of 1812 is correct. It's a math toss-up, and it requires some computations, so you have your pencil and paper. I certainly would be. If the function given by the fraction quantity x squared plus 5x plus 6 divided by the quantity x plus 4 is to be made continuous, it must be assigned what output when x equals -4. You have 15 seconds. I'll read it again while you're working. If the function given by the fraction quantity x squared plus 5x plus 6 divided by the quantity x plus 4 is to be made continuous, it must be assigned what output when x equals -4. Aaron.
Say, 5.
Sorry, no. You take it with your point.
X equals
Sure.
0.
No, it is -3. All right, in the early 15th century, he worked with architect Filippo Brunelleschi in Rome before moving to Florence to study under Lorenzo Ghiberti. He's best known for his monumental seated sculpture of St. John the Evangelist and for his bronze David. Name this man considered the finest sculptor of the Italian Renaissance. Julia.
Michelangelo.
Not Michelangelo. His David was in marble. Whitney point. Yes.
Raphael.
It is one of the Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it's not Raphael. It is Donatello.
I saw Should have.
Okay. 11/23/63 is a novel published in 2011 about a time traveler who attempts to prevent the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which happened on that date. The novel was on the New York Times bestseller list for 16 weeks and won multiple awards for what author usually associated with horror stories. David.
King.
Stephen King is correct. Question 26. If this disease reaches the brain, it causes the almost always fatal condition astrogliosis. A vector of genus Ixodes causes the disease by spreading gram-negative spirochetes. A bullseye-shaped rash is an indicator for what?
Lyme's disease?
Lyme disease is what we're looking for, Holden. That's correct. Formed originally as an alliance between three independent city-states, it grew quickly, conquering other territory in the region. Rulers of vanquished cities were allowed to remain in place if they paid semi-annual tribute and provided soldiers to the alliance's army. What empire ruled from Tenochtitlan did the alliance become? Bobby?
Incan?
I'm sorry, it wasn't the Incan Empire.
Yeah.
Aztec Empire, yes, Julia. Ranked number 158 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 best songs of all time, it's generally considered the song that brought rock and roll to a mainstream audience. What was this song recorded by Bill Haley and the Comets in 1954? Yes, I remember it as if it were yesterday. The answer is Rock Around the Clock. The Twin Cities are Minneapolis and St. Paul. The Triple Cities are Binghamton, Johnson City, and Endicott. The Quad Cities are 4 cities separated by the Mississippi River in which 2 states? Julia.
Mississippi and Missouri.
Good guess. Can you take it, Whitney? We'll call time. The answer is Illinois and Iowa. This chemist proved that in equilibrium, a system's number of degrees of freedom was equal to the number of components minus the number of phases plus 2. A quantity named for him equals enthalpy minus the product of temperature and entropy, and that quantity is less than 0 if a reaction is spontaneous. Who is this scientist who gave his name to a form of free energy?
Newton.
Oh.
Newton.
I'm sorry, no. Take it, South Korea. The answer is Josiah Willard Gibbs. Gibbs is free energy. He helped negotiate the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. In the War of 1812, he served both as Secretary of State and Secretary of War. He was, at various times during his life, a delegate to the Continental Congress, a U.S. Senator, Governor of Virginia, and eventually President.
Thomas Jefferson.
I'm sorry, no. I'll finish it for Whitney Point. Who was this man, the last of the founding fathers to become president? Bobby.
Madison.
Not Madison, but Monroe. Okay, getting down to this. It's a phrase used to describe the indescribable. What is this French phrase meaning I don't know what that is generally applied?
Je ne sais quoi.
That is correct. For the win. You were tied to that point, and that is the last question. 150 to 165. Well played, both teams.
We're at a disadvantage. It doesn't happen.